Hi, this is Tom, and welcome to Lesson 13, Percentiles. I have this data set here, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a few things with this. The first thing, and I'll write these out. First, we're going to find No, actually, how about we just find the quartiles of the data? So we'll do that first. The quartiles of the data. That's the first thing. Now, in order to find the quartiles of the data, the very first thing that we have to do is we have to arrange the data in ascending order, from the lowest value to the highest value. So let's do that. The first thing we need to do is arrange data in ascending order. All right, so let's see. If I work through this, it looks like my lowest value is a 5. Then, let's see, then I have a 6. And then an 8. Oh, look at that. Looks like there's a pattern here. 10, 11, 15, 16, 17, 22, 25, 30, and 31. And I should count my data values. Notice up here that n is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 2, so I have 12 data values. So to make sure that I didn't make a mistake, let's just count here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It looks good. I've recorded all of my data values. Now, here we go. Remember the quartiles, we begin by finding the median of the entire data set. So let's do that. If I have 12 values, then that means the median occurs after the 6th but before the 7th. And let's just double check. Remember that what we can do is I could start here at the 5, and then I could go to the 31st, and I move in 1 from each position. So if we keep going in, in 1 on each end, we don't jump ahead. We need to be systematic here. So I'm going to come in 1 on each end. Okay, now look. Now I'm stuck. If I move the 15 up, from the 15 up, I land at 16. And if I move from the 16, I skip down to 15, and I've skipped each other. So in other words, it looks like Q2, the median, is right here. Okay, and we've done this before, but let's keep going. Now what we need to do is we need to find the median of each half of the data set. So if we look at this, notice in the lower half we have 6 values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values. So that means that my median of those lies between the 3rd and the 4th value. So that's right here. And notice that it's between 8 and 10. And if you're not sure, what you can do is you can add the two values together, 8 plus 10, and divide that by 2. That's 18 divided by 2. So we would say that the median of the lower half is 9, and we called that Q1. And if we do that one more time, in the lower half, we go up 1, and then we come down 1. We go up 1, go down 1, and look at, we land right between 22 and 25. So let's add those two together. And we'll divide those by 2. Well, that's 47 divided by 2. That's 23.5. That is Q3. Now, we addressed this, but we didn't spend much time on it. And here's the next idea. Q1, for example, is the 25th percentile. And what that means is this. A percentile or we'll call it a percentile rank is the percent of the data set, percent of data set below the value of interest. Now, if you notice, we have 12 values, so there's 3 data values that are below. There's 3 data values that are below the Q1, and there's 12 values total. Well, that's just 1/4 of the data, which is 25%. And if we continued it, notice the median, it has 6 values below it, which is half of the 12 values, or 50%. So we'd say the median, so let's write that too. We'd say the median is the 50th percentile. And you can see then that Q3 and Q3 is, well, notice that if you count them up, we have 9. So there's 9/12 of the data is below that. Well, that's 3/4, which is 75%. So Q3 is the 75th percentile. Now, for example, if this was a quiz, and you got a score of, say, 75%, so percent is your score out of 100%. So that would just mean that out of 100 questions, you got 75 correct. A percentile means that 75% of the data is below you. So I don't really need to write that. Those are different values, and you need to be careful. It's subtle, but that's what we're after. So a percentile rank, or a percentile, is the number of data below the data value in question. Now, when you work with Q1, Q2, and Q3, it's fairly simple because all we need to do is just find the median, and then find the median of the 2 halves. Well, what about this? What if it was another value? Well, here's what we do. So let's try this. Let's find, and let me bring my data set back down, and I'll write this problem out. So here is our next problem. Find the percentile rank, percentile rank of 11. All right, we can do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my data set back down. Let's put it right down here below. And we can work from there. So let's do that. So here's what we do. And I'm going to give us a formula here, and we'll see how it works out. So we say that we'll write it this way. We say that percentile rank equals, and here's our formula. It's the number of data below x, number of data below x, which in this case is 11, and we add a half to that, 0.5. We divide that by our number of data, or I should say the total number of data, and then we multiply it by 100%, 100%. And that converts it to a percentage. Now, before we use the formula, let's see why. Notice that if I look at 11, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 values below 11. So I could say that 4 divided by 12. Well, that would be the 33.33 percentile. Then, what if I said included 11? Well, 11 is the 5th value. So I could go 5, and I could take and divide that by 12. And if I take 5/12, if I had my calculator here, which I'll check here, 5 divided by 12, well, that would be 41.67%. But here's the thing. 11 is not above itself. It's just above the 10. But it's above the 10. If we used 4 here, then the 11 would be included in that. But it's above that. If we include the 5, the 11 itself, well, it's not above its 5. And remember, the definition says it's the number of data of which our value is above. So what we do, that's why we add this little half here, is so that we're above others. So we're above others, but not ourselves. But not the desired value, or intent, not the x. And so here we go. So what we do is, if we use our formula, our percentile rank right here. So our percentile rank, this equals, if I look at 11, now here's the thing to notice. Notice that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 values before the 11. So what I would do is I would say that the number of data below the 11 is 4. I would add to that 0.5. We'll put a line under it, and notice I have 12 values total. And we'll multiply that by 100%. And so when I do that, this becomes 4.5 divided by 12 times 100%. And we can put this in our calculator, so let's go find a good grapher and just see what that gives us. So here we go, we have 4.5, we'll divide it by 12, we'll multiply it by 100, 37.5. So let's go back, and we have 11 represents the 37.5 percentile. And you can follow that process for any data value in the set. And the interesting one is, what about 5? If I asked you, what about the lowest data value in the set? The lowest one. So if I looked at 5, well, how many values are below? So if I wanted percentile, if I wanted the percentile rank of 5, well, notice that there's 0 data values below it. So I would just use a 0 plus 0.5. I would divide that by 12. We'll multiply it by 100%. And so let's go back to good grapher here and see what that would be. That would be 0.5 divided by 12 multiplied by 100. And we would say that you are in the 4.17 percentile. So let's finish that. So a rank of a data value of 5 is in the 4.1 7 percentile rank. Percentile rank. And that is how we find the percentile rank of an individual data. In our next video, we're going to look at, well, what if we know the percent and we want to find out what value corresponds with it? We'll see that in the next video. Thanks for watching.